You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast presented by GoHighLevel.com. For a free 30-day trial of the best all-in-one digital marketing software tool on the planet, just go to GoHighLevel.com/Travis. What's going on, money makers? Welcome back to the Travis Makes Money podcast, where it's our mission to help you make more money. If you're new to the show, we release brand new conversations with unconventional money makers every single day of the week. So if you haven't yet, please be sure to go to your podcast app of choice, including YouTube, and hit the subscribe or follow button so you never miss out on an opportunity to learn how to make some more cash. Today, we're talking about running small businesses and franchising with my new friend, Cliff Nonnenmacher. Cliff is the founder of Franocity and began his career as an investment banker at Morgan Stanley. After leaving that career in 2003, he acquired a master franchise for New York and Connecticut, diving headfirst into the franchising industry. Since then, Cliff has owned and operated various franchise businesses, including Cartridge World, Personal Training Institute, Puro Clean, and Made Right, as well as some non-franchise companies. He's also developed well-known domestic and international brands like Four Seasons Sunrooms, Contours Express, Island Fin Pokey, and Crack Boba. So lots of experience growing multiple brands across multiple industries in a variety of locations as well. So there's somebody that can speak to jumping headfirst into an entrepreneurship career. It's Cliff. So Cliff, thanks so much for taking the time to join me on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Travis.
Let's go back in time first, man. Start with how you made your first dollar ever.
First dollar ever, probably raking golf balls out of country club ponds.
All right.
And hunting through the woods. Yeah, because now you're going back 6, 7, 8. I started really young doing that. I was inspired by I had just amazing next door neighbors, and I sold those golf balls at the entrance of country clubs. So that would be my beginning. I was entrepreneurial my whole life, like literally. And I knew at a young age that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just loved the lifestyle. I just love everything about it. I mean, I'm obsessed with it, quite frankly. It's not just a passion, it's an obsession.
So the golf course would allow you to come in?
No. Oh, no.
Okay. All right.
Oh, my God, man. I was on the move. I had to duck and weave and dodge them. They hated me. They would chase me. I made a mess of the greens. I'm sorry to all those golfers, because as I got older and stronger, I started using really large clam rakes so that I could get further with telescopic poles, so I could get further in the pond and then drag the balls to the green, to the water's edge. Oh, I had muskrats, water rats, ticks. It was New York. It was Long Island. I grew up in Great River, so it was constant. But I made great money. I mean, I made $100 as a kid in literally a weekend.
Yeah,
selling golf balls. And you're talking 1980. So that's in today's dollars, that's 2-3x.
Yeah, for sure. And those golf courses didn't pass the vibe check, bro, because they could have just made a deal with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I see people do that today. Like I go to this golf course and sometimes there's just like a scuba diver in the pond. And it's like, cool. Like, hey, why don't you come out, pick up all the golf balls that you can find anywhere on the course, bring them to the shop. We'll sell them in the shop and we'll give you 25% of the used balls that we sell or something like that. Like, that's crazy that they were just so opposed to this 8-year-old that was trying to hustle, make some money, and solve a problem that could have put some money in their pockets too, had they just been a little bit more open to it.
That's right. Yeah, it was Great River Country Club.
Thanks a lot, Great River Country Club.
Yeah. No, it was a good start, right? And then, of course, I did all the odd jobs that you could do as a child, whether it's watching dogs or picking up stuff and raking leaves and shoveling snow, you name it, I did it. And then that evolved into auto detailing, which evolved into owning parasail boats on the Jersey Shore, Marco Island, Florida, jet ski rentals, distributed the Fun Noodle, owned a video store. I mean, I've been at it a while.
Jeez, dude. Yeah, no kidding. So tell me about the investment banking side of this. So you were obviously always looking to make a dollar, but you turned that into like a more quote unquote legitimate career pursuit at some point, and then obviously didn't like it because you left to go back into doing these odd jobs type.
You're exactly right. You nailed it. And I was making money at a young age, right? I built my first house at 21 on Marco Island. I was living the dream, and I had some money, and I bought a satellite system. It was a DTN network, and it would give you level 1, level 2 trading insight. And I started day trading very early. I was so early. My handle was blue chip. That's how early. Not blue chip 5742. I was blue chip. Period. I mean, that's how early I was in that game. and started trading. Learned how to short, learned call options, learned all these different strategies, self-taught. I never went to college. I skipped college. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life,
Oh, wow.
and took my portfolio to Wall Street. And I ended up getting job offers by Merrill, Morgan, Raymond James, Dean Witter, and Solomon Smith Barney, which is where I landed at Solomon Smith Barney, which is today, to your intro, Morgan Stanley.
That's crazy that they
So
actually took a kid who was just self-taught. Because I mean, these types of companies are difficult to get jobs at, even for Harvard MBAs,
you,
right?
I was one in 5,000. So out of 5,000 applicants, they will take one into their training program. So for someone, I don't think college makes the person. If you, I mean, you could either, yeah, I relate it to Goodwill Hunting, when he said, I got a great education for $1.50 in late fees at the local library. To my attitude was, I got a great education, just living with my eyes wide open, surrounding myself with smart people, leveraging collective intelligence, reading a lot, because now you're back in the 80s, 90s, and catapulting my own career. So, look, I don't fault anyone going to college. It's just not for me. It never
Sure.
was, and it never will be.
Yeah, and I think it's just a good point that it should be more highly scrutinized. Is kind of like whenever anybody asks my advice on that, that's kind of my response is like I when I first started, I was pretty much anti-college, but I've gained like a different perspective where it's like not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur, not everybody should be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Owning a business is tough, it's hard, there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of obstacles, and if that's not who you are, then maybe don't go down that path because you can still make a lot of money working for other people. But
Totally.
also, you shouldn't just go to college because that's what everybody's telling you to do, because you feel like you can't be successful unless you do go to college, because that is just objectively false. And there's a lot of other career paths that you can take, especially when it comes to business and entrepreneurship, that will actually serve you better in those early formative years than going to college for it.
I totally agree with you. And just to add to that, completely agree with everything you said. I happened to be anti-college at one point and felt like we have been shitting on the trades for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And now this country is feeling the pain of not enough craftsmen, tradesmen. I
Mm-hmm.
watch videos every day and it's like, this house was built in 2025. The roof isn't right. The pitch isn't right. The windows don't close. The door leaks. Like, wow, what happened to us? We were
Yeah.
craftsmen. We built everything. And now, because we just kept telling people, no, you got to get a college degree. You got to get a college degree.
Right.
No, you need to get a college degree if you need to be in a profession that requires it, or you need to go get yourself a trade so that you can monetize your life's work. And I don't care if you're a plumber, electrician, I don't care if you're a journeyman, a tradesperson, just do something and
Right.
monetize it.
Well, there's an
That's it.
entire generation that kind of vilified the blue collar worker, and,
Totally.
and to be fair to them, it made sense at that point because they were the ones that were getting paid garbage wages, and they saw people who went and got bachelor's degrees back when a bachelor degree was enough to differentiate you in the job market,
Right.
and those people got more opportunities. So they would tell their kids, well, man, you got to go to college, you got to go get a degree, because look at, like, I'm here busting my ass for 40 grand a year, and then my
That's
buddy
right.
who got a bachelor's is making 90, and they don't do any of the back breaking work that I have to do, and blah blah blah. And like I said, it made sense for them at that time, but the problem is we haven't taken another adjustment since then. It's
That's
like
right.
now you look at it, it's like, well, a bachelor's degree isn't enough to differentiate you anymore. Everybody and their brothers got a bachelor's degree. So now you got to go get a master's degree. And then all that's happened in the meantime is tuitions kept going up and up and up and up
Debt,
and up and up
debt,
and up.
debt. Yeah.
And then the wages starting outside of college has actually been going down. Like, the starting position at a job with a bachelor's degree now pays you less than it did 20 years ago or 15 years
Right.
ago or whatever. So then it's like, well, you got to go back to school. You got to go get a master's. You got to go yourself in more debt so that you can get out and get a job that might start you off a little bit higher
Yeah.
than that person who just got a bachelor's degree. And it's like, okay, but we're not, this is not in a pursuit to like learn. This is in a pursuit to make yourself successful. So
Right.
college does not hold the patent on learning. You can learn in a variety of other places right now for free. Harvard puts out lectures online for free.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yes.
democratization of knowledge has completely changed that path for a lot of people. The starting salaries have changed that path. The insurmountable student debt has changed that path, but we're not making the adjustments necessary along the way. And now you look at like technological progress, and it's like, well, these fields that have historically been like you'll never go jobless because whatever, you're a lawyer, you have this
Right.
specialized knowledge in this field that takes you X number of years to gain and has all these, gates along the way that you have to work through and earn. Like
Hmm.
even that is going to be threatened by AI in the next
100%.
decade. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
who's going to have lawyers on retainer when you could just ask an AI lawyer some advice and it will give you the exact answer with zero error. Like even like those jobs are going to be the jobs that are going to be demolished over the next decade of technological advances. Whereas a plumber charges by the hour, just like a lawyer does. But it's going to be a long time before there's some sort of like automated robot that can solve a problem and fix
Right.
the problem inside of your house, which is why you see like these people that own plumbing companies, people that own HVAC companies, roofing companies, siding companies, window companies. Like these are the ones that are growing
Hmm.
significantly compared to these kind of more white collar, quote unquote, esteemed jobs, because that's ultimately where the value lies. The customer still
That's
has
right.
the problem, and now there's fewer people that can solve that problem than there are lawyers or doctors or insert whatever esteemed field here. So
That's right.
we have to be willing to take adjustments along the way, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Everything you said. AI is going after white collar careers, and it's the
Yeah.
first time in history that technology didn't disrupt just blue collar. It's going after white collar. It's
Mm-hmm.
now smarter than a physician. It's smarter than an engineer. It's smarter than an attorney. It's smarter than anyone.
Yeah.
I used it already. I've already done it. I own multiple investment properties. I used ChatGPT to evict a tenant in the state of Florida, and it gave me step-by-step instructions on
There you
how to
go.
do it. So we're
Which normally
there.
would have
We're
cost
there.
thousands of
That
dollars.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Already doing it. It's already there. We've already terminated people in our company that were copywriters and wordsmiths. No one is more creative than ChatGPT or Grok at this moment.
And
I'm
we're
telling you,
only 2 years
crazy.
in.
That's right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Like that's the crazy part is when you think about how capable it already is currently and what that means for 15 years from now. I mean, it's not even going to look the same. The
I
entire
agree with you.
landscape is going to change,
I agree.
which is another reason to get into the types of businesses that you decided to get into. So let's get back into the story here. You were on Wall Street for how long?
I was there for I think 6 or 7 years in
Okay.
total,
Okay.
managing around 250 million with a
What
group.
made you want to leave?
I'm an entrepreneur. I had to get out of there. It was my attitude. Quick story. I had a branch manager, and I was on the opposite side of the building, and I asked him for a printer, and he said, "If you want a printer, you buy it." I was like, "Okay." So I bought the printer. Yeah, this is Solomon Smith Barney. Like they'll spend a gajillion dollars, doing all these events. But I
On
asked for.
golf.
Remember,
Yeah.
there's one printer. There's just one printer in the whole office. And it was on the opposite side. So by the time I got there, my paperwork was, commingled with everyone else. And it was a total waste of time. Plus, getting there, talking to people, how was your weekend? It was disruptive. So I bought a printer. I ended up using the printer. The cartridge was $250. So I'm like, man. So I looked up some stuff. I bought a soldering iron. I bought a soldering iron and I cut a copper pipe and attached it to the tip of the soldering iron. And I melted a perfect hole in the toner cartridge and filled it with aftermarket toner and printed another 4,000 pages. So I'm like, holy shit. So I looked into it. I went to Barnes and Noble. I found a company out of Australia that reverse engineered printer consumables, and I bought the company and brought it to the state of New York and Connecticut. Started scaling it, brick and mortar, printer refilling and remanufacturing centers, and saving people 50% versus OEM, original equipment manufacturer.
That's
And
amazing. So
yeah,
so is was this the business that enabled you to step out of Wall Street then?
this is once I decided exactly. I was in a partnership. I gave my book of business to my existing partners who were wonderful and great mentors to me, and said, I'm going to go back to my roots, which is building brands, and created way more wealth leaving than had I stayed.
Yeah, let's talk about the transition period for you. What was required for you in order to be able to pursue entrepreneurship full time, like real numbers here?
In terms of income, you mean?
Income
Like,
or savings? Did you have something to fall back on? Like, were you working on this while you were still
yeah,
working at the job? Like, what? Tell me about
yeah.
kind of the logistics.
So at this stage, I'm in my at Smith Boney. So now I'm in my late 20s, and I needed to replace, 150,000 at the time of income. Plus, I had a working fiance at the time who was in healthcare, and I had investors that were going to help with the investment was like, and at that time it was over 500,000. Plus, we needed an additional 250,000 to open up a store. So it was a heavy lift. I gave up a lot. I gave up stock options that were invested. I gave up a lot, as you do. And you know what? That's opportunity cost, and you need to weigh that. And that's the problem with corporate America is that it's a false sense of security, and the paycheck is the drug that takes your dreams away. And for anyone who thinks they're safe, you're not safe. Like, no one's safe. Being at a company for 30 years and getting a gold watch and a pension, those days are dead.
Yeah.
They're dead. It's over. And the government's now learning that those heydays are over, right? I never met more rich people than federal government. Had I known they were all rich, I would have been in government. I had no clue. I had no clue that 1% of America was rich, but 50% of government employees are rich. I had no idea that that was the math. I thought that
Yeah.
these people were making 30, 40 grand a year, poor bastards, get a pension, have no quality of life, can barely go on vacation. Now I'm finding out that they have jets, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So all of that being said, you got to create your own pension. You've got to create your own lifestyle. You've got to create your own income stream, and that's what I've been doing basically my whole life.
So that's what Cartridge World ultimately
Well,
became.
I want to right, but I want to caution you. Cartridge World is entering franchising at the highest possible level,
So you were
right? So
franchising
I
this
want to,
business.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, when I was a master, so which means is that you're right underneath the franchisor. So when you talk about being a master, you're buying the rights to two states, and you have the right to sub franchise. I have the right to open up as many locations as I want in those two states and sell you and your listeners as many locations as I want in those two states. That is the highest level to enter franchising, and that's how I entered. The lowest level to enter, the easiest path, right? The lowest barrier to entry is to just be a single unit franchisee of a brand. So I don't want to confuse the listener, like, what the hell? Getting involved in franchising is like a $750,000. No, you can get involved in franchising for as little as $100,000 and buy a nice brand that could kick off some great cash flow, and you could scale it and create wealth.
Why did
So I
you
just want to
choose
put that out there.
franchising over starting your own concept?
So I've had a bunch of my own concepts, right? I've done that. I've owned, as I said, video stores and beach concessions, and I've distributed products. And I had what I believe is the first Uber Eats. I did it in 1990 on Marco Island. I had 16 restaurants. So I believe I was the first subcontracting delivery company for McDonald's Corporation in the United States. No one was doing what I was doing at that time. I was leveraging pager technology to scale a business, pagers, which
Yeah.
ultimately led me to cell phones the size of a handbag, right? And pay a dollar to $2 per minute. So I'm very early in tech, and I leverage that tech to deliver, again, for 16 restaurants, a pharmacy, and auto parts on an island that was 3 by 6. Now, creating cash flow as an entrepreneur is great. Doing your own thing and hanging your own shingle is great. What I learned with franchising is I could collapse time.
Hmm.
And collapsing time is insanely powerful. It is a force multiplier. It's when 2 plus 2 equals 8, right?
Yeah.
So I was able to get involved in a franchise, get the blueprint, get the roadmap, execute flawlessly, and scale and create not just cash flow and not just say I'm an entrepreneur and I own my own business, but actually start creating wealth. And that's what I did. And I would buy failure. I bought failure. I bought failing gyms. I bought failing restoration companies and turn them into multi-million-dollar businesses and sell them for what I call a nosebleed multiple. And why do I say that? Because I'm handing someone a dime for their business, 10 or less cents on the dollar, and I'm selling these things for high multiples. in a very short period of time. And that's what my business partner, Justin, and I did over the years. And then we created our consulting company, which is Franocity.
So did you at this time, were you kind of 100% full time working on Cartridge World
Oh yeah.
or
Oh
okay.
yeah. I want, it's interesting you say that because there are trends that happen in business. So if you went back to like the 70s and the 80s, there wasn't a single person in the world that would think you could keep your career and own a business. Like
Yeah.
no one would even think that. By 1990s, there's like this idea that, maybe I could do a side gig. By 2000s, it's full on a term, gig economy.
Yeah.
Like it's now a word in an urban dictionary.
Yep.
Today, I call them half pregnant. People want to be half pregnant. Like they're not committed really to anything. They're really not committed to their career. They're not fully committed to the business. They're straddling the proverbial fence between employee and entrepreneur. It's a thing now. It's a full blown, I want to keep my career in IT. I want to keep my career as a farmer rep. I believe I'll be replaced within the next 60 months with AI, but like to get this business going on the side to hedge my risk.
Yeah.
So this is the new economy. It's a gig economy. It's a half pregnant economy. It's not a dual income. Dual income is no longer a thing. We started out with a single income head of household. We then told our spouse, get to work. We need another income because we need a 2, 3 car garage. Now I have spouses coming to me saying we need a third income, which is either a laundromat or it's going to be a pressure washing company. That's where we're at today.
Yeah.
And I do believe, going back to some comments that you made, I do believe we went from one income, two income, now a third source of income, or even fourth. I do believe that quantum computing, AI, robotics will create a deflationary environment. I do believe that. I think we're now if there's a cycle, we're now at the peak of that inflationary cycle. And I believe from this point, you're going to start to see things drop in price. And how does that happen? Robotics, AI, quantum computing, and the fact that you're going to eliminate a shit ton of jobs, which is
Yeah.
a shit ton of costs, hard dollar labor costs to the employer, to the manufacturing process, and things will get cheaper. I believe for the first time, we're going to enter a deflationary environment. If anyone wants to know what that looks like, just look at Japan because they've been living in it for the last 20 years. They are 100% deflationary. The real estate values have dropped, everything dropped, and their government is now paying people to have babies, to get married, and to start to really reignite their economy. And we're
Wow.
doing the same thing. We are not repopulating. We're not having babies, right? We're buying more dogs. We're an aging population. No one wants to work. We're ahead. Japan's an ancient civilization, and we are right behind them in terms of habits. I don't want babies. I just want to be me and my boyfriend, or whatever the story is, right? Me and my husband. It's all this stuff that you hear today. We're in a new world, man.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens in a lot of those worlds. But that's why we have the show, man. It's like you can't, nobody's going to come to save you. Not your job, not your employer, not your government, especially not your government or local politicians, or definitely not federal politicians. Nobody's going to come to save you. You have
That's
to
true.
take control of your future if you want to live the life that you want to live. So that means you better get really clear on what version of life you want to live. And then you got to build a plan to go get that version of life and make it happen for yourself, because nobody else is going to make it happen.
Travis, it's great advice. Well said. I echo everything you said. It's not that difficult. Okay. Get off doom scrolling on all the social media horse shit. Get your time focused. You have podcasters giving the answers to the test on how to create wealth and scale a business. I mean, think about the number of people, including you. I host the podcast. You've got Huberman on the health side. What do you want to do today? I want to get healthy. Done. Podcasts, 15 of them. What else do you want to do? I want to get more balanced and spiritual. Done. Right. What do you want to do today? I want to learn how to scale a business. Done. Podcasting is insane. It's free. Just like you said about Harvard, free seminars, free webinars.
Yep.
It's the answers to the test are there. And as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, if you think becoming a millionaire in America is difficult, you haven't tried.
Yeah.
That's the reality. You haven't even tried. All you do is bitch about rich people, but you never tried to become one. And
I,
if you're going to bitch about rich people, you're definitely never going to become rich.
yeah, for sure. I love what Hermosi says about this. He's like, it's never been easier to make a lot of money It's never been easier to start a business or to find opportunity,
That's
but it's
right.
also never been easier to be insanely distracted by everything.
Right on.
So it's like you have to take control, build the lifestyle that you want to build, write it out on paper, think about it, dream about it, whatever you want to do, get clear about where you're going, and then eliminate the distractions and work on that one thing.
I
That's it.
completely agree
And,
with
and
you.
by the way, I'm not somebody who's like, you can't enjoy life. You can't go out for a beer with your buddies. You can't, ever watch Netflix or stay up to date on White Lotus or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, do
Right.
your thing, but just schedule that time and
That's
then
right.
schedule the rest of your time to focus on the relentless pursuit of the life that you want to live. And if you're not willing to do that, stop complaining about it.
That's right.
That's the thing that drives me crazy is that you get around these people, man, who are just trained to just whine and complain about the unfortunate circumstances that they were put in. And I'm not here to tell them that their circumstances were not unfortunate. You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying? Like, I'm not here to be,
Right.
I'm not one of those guys that's like, everybody's starts off at the same place in life and it's up to you where you finish. Like, I am very aware that some people get to start on the 20-yard line or the 50-yard line or even the
Right.
90-yard line and you're still stuck on, your on the goal line. I get it. Circumstances are different. Culture is different.
Hmm.
Socioeconomic status is different. All those things are different. But it doesn't matter. If you want to go somewhere, you can change your circumstances. So if you're not willing to change the actions to change your circumstances, then I don't want to hear the complaining. I
Yep.
don't want to hear you continuously whine about this thing, because if you whine about it for 10 years, that's on you, because you knew this was a problem 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain point where your life becomes a mixture of your own choices rather than a mixture of your own circumstances. And you have to figure out at what point the buck is going to stop, and it's got to be sooner rather than later if you want to see actual change happen. Like, you can't be 44 years old and still be pointing at, well, my parents didn't set me up properly. It's like,
Right.
well, bro, you've been out of the house for 20 years, 24, 26 years, whatever that
Right.
number is. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just keep pointing at your parents or pointing at your lack of education or it does
They
zero
do
good
though.
for anybody.
They
There's
do.
nowhere to go from there. You have to accept the responsibility that this is now your life and you are actively choosing every day to stay in the crappy situation that you're in. So change it, do something different.
That I completely agree with you. And I like the mindset. I'm huge on mindset. Thoughts become things, and people who are constantly dwelling on the negativity, I don't know how they haven't figured this out yet. All you do is attract more negativity,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I like.
What you think about, you bring about. What you think about, you bring about. If you want to think about how bad your life is just going to remain bad. Like, you got to rewire, get your mindset straightened out, because it really does predict your future. And my life changed in an airport one time. I had this crazy experience that I'll spare you from. But this woman just out of nowhere just handed me The Secret, and I read it, and it literally changed my life.
Oh,
Because
really?
oh yeah, it's wild. If you haven't read The Secret, or if you haven't watched the documentary about it, it is life-changing advice, and it is the exact advice that some of the wealthiest people in our societies historically have ever listened to. And the opposite of The Secret is exactly how they keep people poor. Like this statement, do not count your chickens before they hatch. That is designed to keep you poor. It is designed to keep you not thinking clearly. No, you think about chickens way before they hatch. You envision yourself in a Lambo way before you own one. You think about yourself living in that mansion way before you have it. What is this? Don't count your chickens before they hatch, right? So the whole concept is what you think about, you bring about. It's the law of attraction. It's a law, just like gravity. What goes up comes down. What you think about, you bring about. And people have not figured that out yet, and it keeps people literally insanely poor. And it is incredibly frustrating because it's not that difficult to just change your thoughts. If
Yeah,
people won't do it. They love to bitch. We love the train wreck. We love to bitch.
absolutely. Yeah. To add to that, the one thing I would say is that the difference between people like you who read The Secret and then saw success from it and people who don't see success from it is that they continue along this mentally masturbatory path where they just continue to talk about it all the time and think about it all the time and they never actually do anything. It's like
Right.
manifestation's only real to the degree that you actually start working. You know what I mean? Like you can't just
That's right.
you're not just going to meditate about your future and then have it be set in your lap in 3 years from now. You meditate about your future and then you relentlessly pursue that version of your future. And then along the way, you're going to adjust, you're going to pivot, you're going to see that maybe that future wasn't exactly how I envisioned it, and you pivot a little bit and move along this other path. But the common denominator is not even just the thoughts changing; it's that by changing your thoughts, you will eventually change your action, and
Totally.
action is what's going to provide the results that come at the end of the day, which is obviously what you've been able to do. And now you've been able to take this idea that you had with Cartridge World, do Personal Training Institute, Puro Clean, Made Right, and then advising with international brands like these other ones that you've been able to help scale, doing your own consulting now. You relentlessly pursued the vision that you had for your life with massive action.
Right. And today, the core competency of Franocity is to help your audience or any listener to find their way into this world and say, okay, I'm going to engage. I found someone, right? I listened to a pod. I found someone who's an expert in this field who will help me for free. I don't know if you know that. Our services are free. We're
Mm,
paid by the seller, like a headhunter or a realtor.
yeah,
So we're 100% free to the audience, like zero risk, no
right.
obligation, sign nothing, buy nothing. I tell everyone, you're not buying a franchise. Get buy out of your vernacular. All you're doing is researching, is franchising the right investment vehicle for you, right? Is it a fit? Are you a fit for franchising? Like Elon is not a fit. He's way too entrepreneurial for franchising. Franchising
Mhm.
need to fit in the box, execute their model, and know you're not selling hot dogs at McDonald's. Even if it is a great idea, it's not happening. So we have to make sure that people can follow a proven system and execute. So it takes time to go through the process to determine what are your investment objectives? What are you comfortable investing? What do you need to earn? Where do you live? What are the demographics of that community? Do the demos match the brand? Like you want to sell like Louis Vuitton and you live in an area with household income of 40 grand. You don't see the disconnect?
Mhm.
Like, so it's like I deal with people all the time. It's like there's no one selling sushi in my neighborhood. It's like, right, because nobody eats sushi in your neighborhood. Just because
Because
you
you'd be
like
the
it.
only customer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just because you like sushi doesn't mean like your community does not eat sushi. They're eating fast food, QSR food. They're eating $5 footlongs. They don't, even if they love sushi, if they ate it, they're only going to eat it once a quarter. They don't have the discretionary spending to eat it regularly. It's just because the business is there doesn't make it a good idea. So we help the prospective franchisee navigate the process. We represent over 600 brands and we help them accomplish the financial goals that you and I have spent, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 minutes on, which is just crazy. And it's that easy to engage. Just like we said, podcasting can really help people with their life and get them back on track. I'm that one person as a guest on the show that can offer your listeners an opportunity to engage, to learn about brands and to see if there's fit, maybe secure funding, or maybe say, you know what, I'm glad I did this. I'm early. I'll be back in a year or two, maybe 3. I need to triage some cash. I need liquidity of 100. I'm almost there. Angel financing fell through. Great. We've met each other. You have a clear path.
Yeah.
You're trying, as Ralph Waldo said,
Yeah.
right? You
Right.
haven't tried. Try. Give it a shot.
Yep.
And
I
I
love.
agree. And I agree with what you said before at the top of the meeting. For anyone that's like teens to really 35, 40, you got to go all in on something, man. You have to go all in. All chips, center of the table. This is your chance to take all your risks. No spouse, no kids. I would double down on what I just said, right? You just have to take chances. There's no risk, there's no reward. It's not cliche, it's reality.
Yeah, that's
And people
exactly
need
right.
to take chances today. Listen, I want to be just candid. We're men. We're weaker than we used to be. I'm sorry to say that. We are. Our T levels are half what they used to be. Our
Right.
sperm count's half what you. We're not the men we used to be. We're not aggressive. We're not the hunter killers we used to be. We're a weaker version. And people need to realize that. How did that happen? A lot of things have happened to us. You got to watch what you eat. You got to watch what you do. It's changing you metabolically,
Right.
right? If to create wealth and to take chances, you have to You have to be tougher. You have to be more determined. You just have to be tactfully persist in the face of rejection. It takes a certain being to be able to do something like that. Eating shit food and destroying your testosterone levels. I mean, some of these kids can't even have babies anymore.
Yeah.
There are franchises that are dealing with erectile dysfunction because we have 30 and 40-year-olds with ED. How did that happen? How did that happen?
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, think about this, right? Two presidential candidates on both sides of the aisle in the last election said what? IVF. Both of them, IVF. How could that be? What do we need IVF for? We're a healthy nation. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Yeah.
That's the problem, man. And it's affecting every facet of our life, including this conversation. Why don't more young men take risks? Why don't more young people take risks? They don't have the intestinal fortitude to do anything. They sit in their comfort zone, and they got to get out of that they have to get out of that routine if they really want to break out, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, if you want to live an extraordinary life, then you have to take extraordinary actions. You have to do things that other people aren't willing to do to live the life that those people can't live. Whether that's a health perspective, financial perspective, does not matter. We're holistic beings and everything affects everything else. So yeah, couldn't have said it better, man. Let's move into the last segment here, sponsored by Go High Level. If you are looking at your business owner and you want better ways to get more customers, High Level can be a really, really great CRM funnel builder. It's an all-in-one tool. Their software is actually really, really solid. So go check out gohighlevel.com/Travis. Let's move into this last round and we'll get you out of here, bro. What profession other than your own do you think that it would have been fun to master?
MMA. Those guys are unbelievable. It is a profession, so I would do MMA. I think those guys are just beasts.
If you could sit on a park bench with someone, past or present, and chat for an hour, who would it be?
Easy. Thomas Edison. I'm obsessed with the guy. He's my Elon.
How do you like to consume information best? Books, audiobooks, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos?
Now, podcasting. I'm actually, and I say now, I'm 53. I'm just getting into it. So yeah, and then books.
What is your go-to pump-up song, Cliff?
Oh, Disturbed, Down with the Syndrome or Down with the Sickness. I got my PR bench press on that 320.
Nice, man.
From that song. So it became my official song.
What is something you're not very good at?
When I got Chat GPT, I actually entered that question after it started to learn about me, and I have a podcast and it learned. And I said, objectively, I want you to tell me what I'm bad at. And would you believe it responded with, well, you're a professional. You've mastered your craft. I go, stop. Be truthful with me. What am I bad at? And it actually told me, try it. It actually said to me, you have no patience for slow thinking. You're like, you want immediate results, and you are a workaholic. That's what it said.
Love it.
Do it for yourself. It's wild. Yeah. I mean, it actually, can you imagine? I've only been with this assistant, if you will, this AI assistant for how long?
Right.
And I actually asked it, like, what am I bad at? And I think it's lethally accurate.
Yeah.
My spouse would concur. My wife would concur that is lethally accurate. So there's my answer. That came from ChatGPT.
As we have everything wrapped up here, Cliff, where can people go to get more from you?
They can visit our website at franocity.com, FRANOCITY.com, and just request some info. Service is free, and I'd love to help.
Franocity.com. And then Cliff also has a podcast. What's the name of your podcast, Cliff?
Yeah, it's Pursuit of Profit, all streaming services like you. And we only interview founders of franchise concepts for people who have an interest in learning about businesses. That's all we do, is interview founders of franchise brands. And it is quickly becoming the #1 podcast in my niche, which is franchising.
Love it, man. Cliff, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, we had a great chat. Everybody else listening, remember, money only solves your money problems. However, it's a little bit easier to solve the rest of your problems with some money in the bank. So let's solve this problem first here on the Travis Makes Money podcast. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you next time. Peace out.